Hi, my name is Frank. Welcome to the Vinyl Dens segment on channel 33 RPM. In this segment, we check out cool music rooms from across the vinyl community and around the world. Let's jump right into this.
Channel 33 RPM.
The first submission comes from Simon in Sydney, Australia, and he writes, I go by the name Explosive Action on YouTube and the socials and run an action movie review website of the same name. I have converted my garage into a movie and metal chill out haven. I like the sounds of that, metal chill out haven. And also my work from home space. Okay, so it serves multiple purposes. He says, I'm more into the extreme side of metal as well as a longtime fan of horror and action films. Man, I love horror movies as well, so you are in good company here, Simon. He says, I have around 2,500 records and CDs, all of which are in the metal genre. There are around 8,500, that's bananas, 8,500 DVDs, Blu-rays, and VHS tapes on the shelves as well. For audio, I run a matching all Pioneer systems. Records are played on a PL71 direct drive turntable, and I have a PL514X belt drive as a backup. So for the cassette deck, again, this is Pioneer. He has a CTW208R dual cassette deck and a Pioneer CD player and recorder. And those are all fed into the A109 stereo amplifier. Check out this room, dear 33ers. This is insane. This is bananas. Look at all of those freaking movies, all right? You wonder what happened to Blockbuster Video. It moved to Simon's garage. I stand corrected. It looks like he's got more movies than Blockbuster ever did. This place is awesome. I also have to commend Simon for being extremely organized and making all of this stuff make sense. It looks like a kind of a place for everything, right? I guess when you have that many records, that much media, you really have to be organized. Simon, I absolutely dig this music space, man. Great job. This next submission comes from Yaren in Tucson, Arizona. And Yaren says, my main system is a combination of a dedicated 2-channel stereo and a home theater. The 2-channel stereo has a Macintosh C2300 tube amplifier, 2 Macintosh MC601 monoblock power amplifiers, and a Macintosh MC275 tube power amplifier. Holy man, that's a lot of Macintosh. Love it. All of these are powered by a pair of Macintosh XRT28 line array speakers. He says, I can switch between the solid state amps and the tube one, depending on the music I listen to. It's like having 2 systems in one. I also have 2 Macintosh subwoofers for additional depth of bass. My turntable is a Technics 1200G with an Ortofon 2M black cartridge. I've been really curious about the Ortofon black for some time, so one of these days I do have to try it. I have a blue, so the black is a significant step up, and I think it'd be cool to try it out. What else does he say? He says, I love the sound and aesthetics of Macintosh equipment. No doubt, man. Like, look at all the Macintosh gear you have there. He says, when I first bought a vintage Macintosh amp, I found myself sitting in the dark listening to music while staring at the blue meters. Definitely a cool feature of Macintosh gear. He says, I've been tinkering with my equipment for years and I'm pretty much done, though my girlfriend won't believe me. She's heard that one before. He says, the sound coming out of the line array speakers feels like it's emanating from the walls. Even though it's placed in a pretty small space, these speakers do wonders. Yaren, this music room is insane. The amount you've invested into Macintosh gear, I can only say I'm jealous because I can only imagine how great that would sound. I mean, just check out those speakers. I've seen Macintosh speakers before, never in person. I've never heard them, but I can just imagine how great that would sound. This is, in fact, probably one of the nicer setups I have seen pictures of. Also, kudos on your lady friend for putting up with your purchases. Obviously, she is a keeper. Yarn, I dig it. Thanks for sending these, man. All right, we're blasting through these. These are always so fun. I love checking out music rooms. I hope you do as well. Let me know in the comments below. This is from Kevin, and Kevin is a retired radio announcer from Michigan, USA. And he writes, when I was working in radio, the last thing I wanted to do when I came home was listen to more music. But after I hung up my headphones in 2019, I bought a turntable and took some of those old albums I had when I was a teen out of storage. Now I am back to buying records just as I did in the 1970s. My music room is small, he says, just under 10 feet wide by about 14 feet long. Hey, you gotta make do with what you got, right? Like my music space here is 10 by 10, so I try to make the best use of it that I can. He says, I have around 400 albums in my collection, including about 100 or so they let me take home from the station archives when I retired. That's cool. So I'm kind of curious whether those are radio station promos, gold stamp promos. I love those promos. He's also a home brewer with his own YouTube channel, and he edits videos at his computer desk. And you know I'm going to dig this, because check this out. I spotted some channel 33 RPM on Kevin's screen. Cool spaceman, Kevin. Thanks for sending these images.
Love vinyl? Tell the world with a Channel 33 RPM t-shirt. Check out the Channel 33 RPM store today.
All right, next up we have something from Christopher in Austin, Texas. And me and Chris have been chatting back and forth here for a few months, and he's one cool guy. He is the lead vocalist for the Austin, Texas-based punk band Nowhere Bound. If you are not familiar with Nowhere Bound, the band, you gotta check them out. It's like punk, but it's also, there's acoustic elements, there's hardcore elements, there's elements of rock and roll. It's really catchy, really fun music. Nowhere Bound, the band. So it looks like from these photos, his listening space and his collection is in the main living area of his house. I love the band posters and all the gig posters on the wall. He sent me some other photos. So he's got album covers and other music memorabilia all around his house, including the kitchen. I dig it. And for gear, Chris has a Fluence RT85 turntable, a Marantz NR1200 2-channel receiver, some Polk audio speakers, and for cartridges, he uses the Ortofon 2M blue and red, and the Nagaoka. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. There's so many different ways to pronounce that. I think someone said the pronunciation is, I'm not even going to try it. Nagaoka MP110. I have both of those. I love my Ortofon 2M blue. It's very precise, though some people may say kind of sterile sounding. It doesn't color your sound. What you have on the record is what the Ortofon 2M blue produces, and the Nagaoka MP110 is a much warmer, traditional sounding cartridge. I dig them both. Chris has around 1,400 LPs, and he recently replaced all of the inner sleeves. Imagine that. I think he did it over the course of a weekend, sitting down and replacing all the inner sleeves to your records. That'd be quite the task. What I found really interesting is the way he organizes his records. Chris writes, every artist has its own divider. When I was around 300 records in, I realized despite being alphabetized, I was starting to need some sign posting. I went to buy some dividers to do the A, B, C, etc. thing, only to find they sold them in 25 packs instead of 26 packs. Anyway, I bought 2 25 packs, so I had a divider for every letter. Funny thing, at 300 letters, I didn't have every letter represented in my collection. I realized this after labeling them all. I ran into this as well when I did that, so I combined some of my letters. Anyway, he writes, upon said realization, I pulled off letters and prioritized. Any artists whose catalog I had collected 5 or more of got a divider. Then those with 4 got one. Then I peppered the 3s until I ran out of dividers. Over the next year, he writes, I finally got one for every artist as my collection grew. If I hadn't jumped on that train early, there's likely no way anyone could talk me into it now, 1,000 plus records later. That is commitment, man. That is commitment. I'm not sure if I have come across another collector who does individual dividers for every single artist in his collection. I have to admire that. I admire the fact, too, that your house, all your living space is dedicated to music. I absolutely dig it. Cool music room. I was going to say music room. Cool music space. Chris, I dig it. And I got this from Dylan in Clearwater, Florida, USA. Dylan writes, I've been collecting records since 2010. Before that, it was mainly compact discs. I mainly collect punk and ska. Less Than Jake and the Ramones are my favorite bands. I recently completed my collection of all the Ramones studio albums. Now check this out. Here are some pictures of my listening setup in my small 600 square foot apartment and my Less Than Jake and Ramones records. killer collection of records. Dylan, good stuff. All right, 33ers, that is this installment of Vinyl Dens. If you want to submit your record room for consideration in a future video, drop me a note at channel33rpm@gmail.com. Include like 5 to 10 well-lit, clear photos along with a description of your listening space and a bit about you. I will use the best ones. Unfortunately, I can't use all the submissions I get because I just get too many, which is a good problem to have. If you dug this video, I would appreciate a quick thumbs up. Until next time, dear 33ers, keep on spinning.